Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just under 5 months away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film, at the end of the day, is going to answer a lot of burning questions from The Force Awakens that will be answered in, of course, Episode 9, as well as creating new questions at the very beginning of this film that will ultimately be answered at the very end of Episode 9. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the big plans by Disney, Lucasfilm, JJ, and George, this is where things begin to get very interesting and at the same exact time rather unfortunate for one of the planned sequences for Episode 9. Now, specifically, it's actually described that one of the rewrites of the film for the months of November and December of 2018 is when George Lucas was involved significantly with adjusting the second and third acts of the film. It's explained that one of the scenes that George Lucas was working very hard on involved a sequence where George was working on a flashback scene involving a reunion between both Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker while Luke Skywalker was still alive. It was said to be a sequence in which Luke would meet his father Anakin inside of the First Jedi Temple. Right near the Prime Jedi mosaic is where Anakin was said to stand and provide a short lesson to Luke about the Force and the Jedi. The scene was said to be partially shot and involved a far older version of Anakin Skywalker that appeared as if he was in his 70s. Unfortunately, it's said that the scene was ultimately scrapped due to further rewrites and planned reshoots to fulfill a different reunion between both Luke and Anakin within the netherworld of the Force, as opposed to a reunion when Luke was still alive. The scene originally involved a young actor playing Anakin, where the head would actually be replaced with Hayden Christensen with aging technology. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and why this is unfortunate. Now, I will say that when we think about Episode 9, it's all about family, right? And that's exactly what JJ and George are aiming to do with Episode 9. However, in this original sequence that was actually planned for Episode 9's second act was to include a flashback between Luke and Anakin, where Luke was still alive on the world of Octu before he closed himself off from the Force, where he actually was able to communicate with his own father, Anakin Skywalker. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, this would have been an amazing sequence and would have really resonated with fans and would have just felt so right, because we do know that Luke actually communicated with Anakin on multiple occasions, well after the events of course, Return of the Jedi, and even during the events of the sequel trilogy. If you guys actually have, read some of the canon material or some of the new books that are coming out later this year, teasing those, those conversations between both Luke and Anakin, etc. So what I like about this, though, is that this was actually said to be a part of the rewrites for late 2018, just last year, where it was partially filmed. So that's one thing to consider, is that it was partially filmed, which means we may very well see this on the Blu-ray and or 4K version of this movie come, of course, sometime in 2020 in April or March, or whenever they plan to drop the digital or discs of The Rise of Skywalker. So, on top of all of this, it was said to take place within the Prime Jedi mosaic and the actual First Jedi Temple. Now, on top of the Prime Jedi mosaic is said to be where Anakin Skywalker would stand and talk to Luke Skywalker, giving him a very specific lesson about the Jedi and the Force and everything about the ways of the Jedi. Now, to me, this is very inspiring, and it really seems like that George was right on the money with the scene that was scrapped for whatever reason. We don't know. It could have been something due to something more than just rewrites and reshoots. It could have very well been too complex to complete. To me, I think that there's no excuse for, scrapping a scene like this. I feel like that this would have really made the fans happy, as opposed to a reunion where Luke is a Force ghost and Anakin is a Force ghost, where in this scenario, in the form of a flashback, Luke and Anakin actually having a legitimate reunion, I think is beautiful and would have been amazing, as opposed to Luke having a reunion with him in the netherworld of the Force. But I digress. What's really intriguing as well is that we do know that this film is going to really show us a different side of Star Wars lore. And within the first Jedi Temple, there's more that we need to learn more about. We really don't know much about the first Jedi Temple other than that there is the Prime Jedi Mosaic within there, and that it does indeed hold a certain power that is going to be explained by, of course, the Force Ghost of Luke within the Lost City, which is also the home of the Prime Jedi Temple, who is said to be the first of the Order. So not necessarily the first Jedi, but the first of the Jedi Order. Very interesting stuff, I must add. So, I will say, guys, I mean, George Lucas being attached to this film, regardless, it's exciting. I just would have loved to see a scene like this on the big screen, as opposed to, them just being Force ghosts. Don't get me wrong, that's still good, but having Luke alive, meeting his father, would have been far superior than that. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.